Chrisean Rock and the battle for her soul. This is the fourth and final video in this little Chrisean Rock mini-series that I decided to do. And this is the video I've been looking forward to the most, because in this video, I'm going to explain why everything we're seeing from her is evidence that we live in a spiritual battle. She's in a spiritual battle, and the battle that's happening right now, it's not her mental health, it's not her upbringing, it's the battle for her soul, because everything that has happened, that is happening is because, I believe, right now, I was listening to, before I even get to that point, I was watching her on another podcast, as I mentioned, I was watching lots of different interviews of her, to be completely honest, because when I research people, I prefer to find things that they physically said, because that's what came out of their mouth, and they're going to be, that's what they chose to say, if you know what I'm saying. So I listened to a lot of things she said, and she right now in her life seems to be, well, let's talk about that, because prior to her breaking up with Blueface and him being with Coi Leray, she was, and I believe she still is, on a good path. You know, she'd been closer with God and was really trying to improve both herself and her relationship and whatnot. Right now, there's a lot going on, because she's been having a lot of issues because of this Coi Leray situation, and there's always this tug that's happening. And this is what I think a lot of people experience, this back and forth. And we see it happens the most extremely for people who have a lot of things, like people who have big purposes, let's put it like that, big purposes types of things. This is why you see people with in like the entertainment industry, like the likes of people like Kanye, will go from such extremes, is because in his spiritual battle, it's like the kingdom of darkness is fighting for him to use his platform and his massive level of influence for darkness, that the kingdom of light is trying to pull him over to use his power and his influence for good. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens. That's what all of this is about. That's why I think whenever people ignore the spiritual element of, well, anything and everything, you're doing a disservice to understanding what's really going on. What's really going on is, like, let's backtrack, right? So Chrisean Rock started out, that she's 22 years old, as I mentioned before, but I'm just saying this in case you haven't seen the other parts. If you haven't checked out the other parts, they're all going to be in a playlist. You can watch them all the way through. This is part 4. There's 4 different parts. She in her she is a very talented young woman, right? This is why I believe that this battle was so strong for her. She was actually an athlete before all of this happened, so she was doing track. She's obviously got lots of different talents and everything like that, and so she ended up now, and she's doing her music and everything like that. So what I feel like happened, this is what I feel like happened. I feel like she was on a good track. She'd been doing stuff on YouTube, she'd been working, doing whatever. Then she went on that like show, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like one of those like kind of like fitnessy type competition type things, you know, you got to do all these obstacles and see who can do it the fastest. And she managed to do it and finish at 10,000 and win $10,000 and everything, which is amazing, because obviously she came from a difficult background. And then as Satan does, you get offered an opportunity that was going to derail you. Now, this is how the kingdom of darkness works, because she ended up finding herself on Blueface's, what's it called, Blue Girls Club, I think it was called, and she ends up basically falling in love with him. Now, this is one of those, like, you know, very I won't comment on it, because I don't want to use any words that people take the wrong way, because I really don't have any judgment. So let's just say it's like Bad Girls Club. It's one of those types of places, and she kind of went through this transformation of how she was as a person, being there because of kind of the environment she was in. And environment is very important. By the way, guys, I talk about environment in one of my most recent videos, and how important it is the people you're around. And so I think a combination of what she'd been through, because she'd already lived a hard life. This is the other thing. She'd already lived a hard life, but she was surviving. She was winning. And that's what happens a lot of times. People can live a difficult life. Because I know she'd said that when she was doing, you know, track and everything, the reason why it was so beneficial for her was because she finally had the girls, the women, like the coaches and the girls there, they knew what she was going through, and they were giving her a lot of like emotional support. So she was in a place where she'd been through a lot, she's going through a lot, but she's kind of just making it. She's still making it. She's still positive. She's still progressing in a healthy way. And then she goes to probably the worst environment that's just going to bring out all of the that's going to put her on the path that probably technically is most comfortable. Now, I say most comfortable because whatever type of environment you come from, a lot of the time, a lot of the time that's really comfortable for you. That's why people find it easy to be in a toxic relationship and feel feel entitled to, you know, be violent and stuff like that. But then when they're in a serious relationship and they have to be held accountable, they don't want to be held accountable. They'd rather be somewhere where they don't have to be held accountable, you know, stuff like that. Again, because it's a spiritual battle. Oftentimes the good thing, the right thing, the light thing is a harder thing to do. It's harder to be truthful than it is to lie. Lying is cowardly, there we go, is cowardly, right? Fear is easy because then you just give yourself an excuse for everything, right? But having courage, right, isn't easy, because that means you have to push yourself even when that's what courage actually means, pushing yourself even in despite of fear, right? Being a victim is easy because then everybody else is to blame. Everybody else is the problem. You're just a victim here. You're excused from everything because everything has happened to you, and we need to feel sorry for you, right? Like being a victor, right? Being a winner, that takes dedication. That takes you being serious, you being an active player in your life, you being an active co-creator with you know, with God and your destiny, you walking up the hill, right? I'd kind of describe it like alongside the law of entropy, which we won't get into today, but like I look at like being in the kingdom of light. It's like walking up a mountain. Once you get to the top of the mountain, it's beautiful and you want to get to the top of the mountain, but you got to climb. But it's easy for you to just roll down the mountain. It's easy for you to stay at the bottom of the mountain, but now you're just at the dead bottom of the mountain. Do you know what I'm saying? And it goes again with foolishness and wisdom. Foolishness is our default as humans. That's why when we just are left to do, like, it's like with children. Children left to their own devices do the silliest things. You know what I'm saying? It takes wisdom gained over time, and to gain wisdom, truly you actually have to seek wisdom out for itself in order to be able to use it, right? So these are the two ways the two kingdoms, they operate separately. And so each kingdom obviously is fighting for you is pulling, it's not, but is pulling us towards their direction, because God wants you to be with him so he can love on you, protect you, guide you to your purpose, to your destiny. He can help you to see the value in yourself and that he made you for a reason, the way you are. And you have a destiny for you that's going to make you happy, where you're going to thrive, where you're going to live in joy, you're going to live in peace. The kingdom of darkness wants to do the very opposite. The kingdom of darkness wants you to live in destruction. The kingdom of darkness wants you to live in death, essentially, right? Because that's what it is. You have no real sense of life. A lot of people are alive but they're dead. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he uses his greatest tool always, which is money, power, and fame. Because money, power, and fame is comfortable. It feels good. That's why God always makes a big thing to say you shall have no other gods before me. Because if you have a god, like if mammon is your god, if you care more about money, if you care more about status, if you care more about anything else, even yourself, right, you are going to cause your own destruction. You're going to walk yourself into the destruction. The things that you've dealt with are going to overtake you, because that's what ended up happening now with Chrisean Rock. Because you see that everything that she's been through, everything that's happened, it's now overtaking her, because now she's partnering, she's being pulled in with people that are associating in an environment that isn't operating in the kingdom of light. And by the way, I'm not saying that the other option is that she just goes to church. I'm saying the other option is that she was doing what she needed to do. You know, she was doing her track stuff, all of that type of stuff. That's the stuff that takes the discipline. You know what I mean? Not being, you know, showing up for training, eating well enough so that you're sustaining and fueling your body and stuff like that, right? All of that type of thing, showing up where you need to be, having integrity and a respectable presence in the world, so that people want to work with you and hire you and allow you to perform and stuff like that, right? Because like with some of the stuff she's doing now, obviously that could cost her, let's say in competition, if she's, you know, taking drugs, well, not taking drugs, but, you know, she's like smoking the green and all of that type of stuff. And that's what this comes down to, guys. People are in a spiritual battle. It's like, and that's why I literally think, like, as humans, we live our lives, right, making a decision whether we're going to side with the kingdom of light or side with the kingdom of darkness, and making a decision whether we're going to allow ourselves to be pulled more to order, because order always creates better things for us. Like when you have the order of, I be with somebody who respects me and who does this, that's orderly. You just being in whatever relationship and being this toxic, like, oh my gosh, we love each other but we hurt each other, like, you know, there's a lot of that goes on. And that's where she is now. And I feel like that's where the tug comes from. You know what I'm saying? The tug of being pulled either side. And when we live in the society that we do today, it's easy to be pulled into the kingdom of darkness, because people look at someone like her and her background. This is why I believe everybody suffers from childhood trauma, because that's the devil's trying to destroy us before we can even come to the understanding of how valued and valuable we are, so that we spend the rest of our life dealing with issues, self-medicating ourselves, living dysfunctional lives, creating dysfunctional families. So we will never, that's his goal. His goal is that we will never get to the point of having everything that God has in store for us. We will never get to the point where we thrive. We'll never get to the point where we have a loving relationship with somebody who loves and respects us. We'll never get to the point where we end up in a job that we love to do. Why do you think even today no one ever talks about purpose in school and stuff like that? No, you just learn about this, go and follow this path. And you get told, oh, you have to get lucky to be in the entertainment industry. And then because we think you have to get lucky, we don't acknowledge that if God gave you certain talents, if you can sing, if you can dance, if you can rap, if you can whatever, God gave you that talent, because that's your purpose is within your talents. Your talents are within your purpose. Whichever order, I'm not sure. So you're good at those things. If God put it inside you, you don't have to wait for luck. But the world tells you it's lucky. Why? Because then Satan can use it against you. Like, oh, so you want to be a rapper? Okay, come on, yeah, sign this deal. Well, if you want to be a rapper, you're gonna have to follow us, because you know how hard it is to get into the industry. When in reality, it's not even hard. God's like, listen, if I said that this is for you, if this is what I have for you, that's done. It's done and dusted. Nothing can take it away from you. No Hollywood, no Hollyweird, no one. If that is what I have for you, no one can take that away from you. And that's exactly what that's exactly what the enemy doesn't want us to see. And that's exactly why society operates in the way that it does. And even Chrisean Rock now, she's even saying, you know, she's back on track with God and really thinking about, you know, her purpose and everything, all of this type. Well, she didn't mention her purpose, but, you know, just getting in track with God again and working it out. That's what the kingdom of darkness doesn't want, because then you realize that you can also heal along the way. So what you went through, like, God is like, do you think God's looking at us like, oh, you dirty, whatever, look at your past, look at what was done to you? He's like, we're just gonna clean that up. We're just gonna get rid of it. Like, let's just get rid of it. Like literally, this is what I think about sometimes with God. Like with my relationship with God is like, he'll reveal something so you can be like, right, now that you know that this is what you're suffering from, let's get rid of it. Let's just get rid of it now. Like demons, we're casting you out. Issues, we're gonna heal those wounds. We're getting rid of it. You don't have to live with that stuff. You don't have to live in shame. You don't have to live in these cycles, because you can be freed of them. And that's the message the kingdom of darkness doesn't want us to do. Instead, it wants us to use those types of things to keep us in these cycles, to keep us in destruction, to keep us putting ourselves in places where we're not being valued the way that we're supposed to be being valued. And that's how this is a spiritual battle. And I feel like we're watching the spiritual battle from her being okay and doing better to her, you know, that's real life. That's real life, guys, as well. Can I just say that? Like, and I respect her, because she said she likes to show everything, because she wants always for her fans to see her and for who she is, and not to like think more highly of her than she actually is, just because she's like not showing anybody what really goes on. Now, I do think she shows too much, but I admire that she's not doing what the rest of us do, because it's like we all pretend, we're all out here pretending. I find it so funny how people pretend like you ain't just it. And she even said, she was like, and the same people who be saying I'm sharing too much online, or who be judging me or be sitting on their high horse, I know for a fact they're actually doing worse than I'm even doing behind the scenes, you know. And that's the type of world we live in, and that type of bondage as well isn't any better, because you're just living a fake life. And then when you go home and when you're on your own and nobody else is there, and you have to face yourself, and you have to face the things that you're thinking about, and you have to face the flashbacks to the things that have happened, and face your own demons, you're depressed. And this is why people are depressed. This is why people are struggling with so many different issues, because we're not dealing with things at the root, because that's exactly what the kingdom of darkness wants us to do, to live these lifestyles that look lavish, that feel lavish, have money, power, fame, the things that we think will make us happy, so we ignore what's going on the inside, right? But then what's going on the inside is causing us so much turmoil. And that's why people, even in the entertainment industry, they'll say, I have it all now and it means nothing, and I'm still not happy. Like in the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible, you guys should read it, it's very short. And Solomon had 700 wives, 300 concubines. He was the wealthiest and wisest in all the land. Literally nothing else more this man could want. And he said it meant nothing, right? It meant nothing. So just throwing that out there, that I really do think this is a battle for her soul, but I believe that she will triumph. I believe God is doing something inside of her life, and that he's not done with her yet. And I do not believe she'll be fighting and battling this hard and enduring this much, if not for there to be a brighter day on the other side, if not for her to come out on the other side. So I just hope she clings to the Lord, and I will most definitely be praying for her. Thank you guys so much for watching this series. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this video in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like my video, because if life's a game, then let's play to win. God bless you all, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.